you're in New York. The Knicks are a legitimate team. You fall behind. You don't have a good first half. Cade didn't have a good first half, and then he rallies. Drops, I think, 18 in the third, 36 on the night, closes it out. Pistons are 21-19. Now, I have two questions for Rico and you guys, and you can respond to either, both, or most likely neither. I know what I'm up against here with the NBA in this town, but that's where I wanted to start on this. I have an actual topic, but I think the biggest problem with doing, hey, what's it going to take for you to get excited about the Pistons, it has nothing to do with the Pistons. See, the Pistons are doing everything the league doesn't do, Rico. They're actually trying, right? They play hard.
Yeah.
They guard. They care. The NBA, look, I'm an NBA fan. I am League Pass guy. I mean, Rico, I've never been more detached from the NBA. The product is abysmal. I think on the whole, you have a lot. I'm not going to paint with too broad a brush. You have a lot of players that are completely unlikable. The idea that we don't know who's playing on any given night, or even if they are they playing? It's not the Pistons' fault. But I think it is their problem, is that if we want to get people interested in this town, I'm asking them to watch a product that by and large is awful. Because I myself can't lie to my listeners. I've watched less NBA this year than any year of my life. It's atrocious.
It is.
So that was one, and I wanted to know if you were at least okay with me saying that.
I'm okay. I'm okay with you saying that because, I mean, man, when NBA players value being on podcasts more than actually playing on the court, that's a problem. Now, a caveat to that is, here's why you should be interested in the Pistons. Before you get to the second thing, is that Detroit used to be a guaranteed load management spot. Now,
not so much.
Yeah, now when star players come to town, they're playing because they just can't walk in and beat the Pistons. They actually have to go out there and put forth effort. This isn't one of those, oh, we could just take the night off type of nights.
So the question is this. We are 3 weeks away from the NBA trade deadline. They're 21-19, and I weigh these two factors. 5 years of being completely awful, non-functioning. 12 games of being hot as a firecracker. And I only say it because I know what I want to do, but I want to know if I'm jumping the gun. And people can call me out on this. You can call me out, or maybe people will agree. We talked about this after a horrible opening 10 days for Cade, especially in the fourth quarter. He couldn't score. He couldn't close. They blew some games. He's blossomed into the guy that David prayed, literally, to bring to town. I want to make a move. I want the Pistons to be buyers, and not in a Blake Griffin way. Not with some Rudy Poo, one-legged, 35-year-old. No. I want to get Cade a Robin. I want to get Batman a Robin. And that's going to take something seismic. Now, I want to know if I'm irresponsible with that. Listen, they need more floor spacing. They need more shot creation. They do. The names that are out there, I will give you some because I don't think it's good enough to come on the air and go, they got to make a trade. And then you're like, well, for who? I don't know. That's not, you're not a radio host at that point. You're a whoopee cushion.
I don't want to be wrong.
Right.
They don't have to do an opening segment where they apologize. Go ahead.
You never have to. And look, I've done as much research as you can do, and I can give you some names. But I wanted to know on principle before we get into the names. Do you think the Pistons should be a buyer? Because I do. And I said this, and Lord knows, I mean, if you say anything that's anything other than euphoric praise about a local team, Cookies gets upset. This happened on the pod today. And I said, oh, they're going to make the playoffs because, frankly, they're trying and no one below them is. Like, well, why can't it be? Because they're good. Well, they're not. They're just better than this crap, and they actually care about life. Truthfully, the Nets, the Hornets, the Wizards, the Bulls, all these teams blow.
Right. There's a difference between making the playoffs and a team that's trying to win a championship.
That's correct. My point is the Pistons are trying. That's their advantage. I want to know if you want them to be buyers. And I can give you some names. And look, the name I want is not going to be available to the offseason. David did a great job of digging into the CBA and the contract. The player I want, it sounds like, according to what David researched, he won't be available to the offseason. Lauri Markkanen. Stretch 4, young, signed, god-awful situation. Boy, would he look good in the pick and roll here, the pick and pop. Wouldn't he look good? It would be beautiful. But what if I could get you a facsimile of that? And it's a player I wanted them to sign 2 years ago, and they didn't do it. Player like Cam Johnson for the Nets could be on the move, shooting 40% from deep, averaging 20 a night. He's that stretch 4. He plays defense. He's a team guy. The Nets.
I don't think you got to break the bank for him either.
Well, the Nets are making a sizable ask. It doesn't mean they're going to get it, but all things are. They want multiple firsts. Well, you can want whatever you want. It doesn't mean you're getting it. The Zach LaVine thing is out there. Now, again, I don't like Zach LaVine. Is he having a good year? Admittedly, yes, he is. Averaging 25 a night, shooting 45% from deep on almost 8 attempts a night. The problem is a lot of that's empty filler in non-competitive games. And he's still Zach LaVine. And his knee is still a plate of fettuccine. And he's signed through, I believe, with the player option, 2026-27. So, couple of names for you.
Not the name I thought you were going to say. Because I think, but
I have one more.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to see if I can trip up?
Yeah.
Let me see if I fall into Rico's trap. The other name you will hear a lot about is Brandon Ingram.
No.
Okay. So
Teammate of his.
No. You're thinking the Zion stuff? No.
But see, you're better than that now. Because you don't need to get a name to sell tickets.
I don't want
to get
someone
people in the
who's
seats.
not serious about basketball.
Exactly.
And Zion has burnt through all equity. Look, the team might release him in the offseason. That's something you're reading about, hearing about in NBA circles is they can get out of that contract and they may just do that. And look, if they trade BI, well, that's part of it. Now, look, Ingram, availability. Now, I know we just talked about Zion. Availability is a skill. Brandon Ingram doesn't have it. Brandon Ingram is hurt all the time. Mm-hmm. But is he 6'10"? Yes. Is he the athletic wing they lack? Yes. Is he a shot creator? Yes. Don't love it. Remember, guys, perfect players rarely get traded. All right? So I'm sorry I can't bring you Shaq in his prime. But I wanted to ask the question. I understand if you call up and you go, Mike, Rico, you guys are overreacting. It's 10-2. It's a 12-game stretch. What if a week from now they lose 4 in a row? Guys, all I can say is you don't have as much time as you think you do. And with a guy like Cade, who is signed, right, we're about to start his true prime. He needs someone you don't possess. You know, Jaden Ivey's gone. And frankly, the way Cade plays without him, I'm more comfortable with than the way he plays with him. Mm-hmm. So I want to get him as Robin. Now, you go, well, what do you think they can accomplish if they do this? Like if they got Cam Johnson or if they got Zach LaVine, could they threaten and or win a playoff series? Possibly, yes. If you don't, you're cannon fodder. Now, that doesn't mean you make a deal for that purpose alone, but it's like, okay, what are we going to do to get tangibly better now that we're too good to use our picks?
Right.
And we have what we have. So I wanted to ask the people, A, is it possible for you to get excited about this knowing, look, the NBA's never been worse. Yeah. It's bad. And is it wrong that I think it might be time to do a little buying?
No.
A little shopping.
I agree with you on both. I do think that I look at this team and I had the pre-show call with David, and for me, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, man, I'm just apologizing across the board. David was actually right. David was actually correct. He said the playing game is not good enough. And right now I'm looking at how this team is playing, and what you're saying, they're trying and other teams aren't. No, I expect you to be in the top 6. I expect you to be playing game exempt. And that's not, I don't think that's asking too much of this current team. Can you get to about 42 to 44 wins, and that may put you in that 6th spot where you're not in the play-in games?
Do this for yourself. And people, if you're out there, no, not if you're driving, but if you're bored at your cubicle or dropping a grumpy or whatever you're doing with your day.
The win-loss game?
No. Just look at the East.
Well,
and I want you to count how many real teams are there. How many teams are trying? and then count backwards from where they currently are? And can you even find teams that are trying? Now, look, let me say this, and I'll make it very clear. I don't want anyone to feel they're not welcome in the conversation. If you don't want to make a move, you're not a bad person. I understand if you want to just be very deliberate, very, pragmatic. I get it. I'm saying you have to make the right move. You don't make a Blake Griffin move. You don't do something stupid. You don't do something that makes you an 8 seed for the next 2 years. You do something with a player that fits what you want now, what you want in 2 years. God willing, they're signed long enough, what you want in 4 years. Cam Johnson would be that.
Yeah.
It's a player I wanted in free agency. Shoots the three, length, defense, low ego, high output, and he's on a god-awful Nets team.
Mike, I don't think it's a coincidence that once he left the Suns got worse. Suns didn't have that type of player because he's a gritty type of guy that goes out there and just does it game in and game out. You don't have to worry about load management because he's in there trying to win games. I like that.
It's an idea.
You got the Cavs, your Celtics, the Knicks, who they just beat, Pacers, Magic, and then you're at the Bucks, Heat, Pistons, Hawks. So, yeah.
And by the way, remember something now. Nets are going to trade Cam Johnson. Sounds like Atlanta's going to trade DeAndre Hunter. The Heat are trading Jimmy Butler. When Pat Riley's up there with a PowerPoint presentation on what a butthole you are and why you're suspended, I'm pretty sure you're getting traded. He's already suspended for 7 games. Guys, you're openly talking about the bottom falling out in the East. So the Pistons are going to make the playoffs.
Right.
It's a question of, do you believe now would be the right time versus later? I'm not going to yell and scream either way. I think they're going to make the playoffs. But I think when a player is coming into his own like this, it's worth a conversation. And I'm sure this will be twisted and manipulated and misconstrued as somehow we demanded a trade, which we did not. I've asked a question. I see both sides of it. I wouldn't mind the Pistons making a few calls. Make the right move. Don't make any move. Make the right move.
If you can make a trade, I mean, you have the cap space. You can do what a lot of other teams can't. So
trade the Swedish kid you got in a 1 and go get Cam. 248-539-90. So what is it? Bobby Clinton or whatever it is. Go ahead. Take him. Take a first. Go get Cam Johnson. I don't know. 248-539-9797. We'll get with the people. I'd say we'd get with Kenny, but he's opted out until 3 o'clock. He hates the NBA. Rico Beard.
Kenny's watching Mexican hockey.
Exactly. that day, the 16 Nations Cup, the NHL CBI.